Mavericks. This is Rob Reinhold. It is August 16th, 2022. Let's get into the day today. It was actually a pretty boring day when it was all said and done. Yes, we did have some movement throughout the day, but at the end of the day, everything closed pretty much flat. So you see the S&P up 0.2%, the VT up 0.1%, crypto down 0.3%, gold down a little, oil down about 1%. And so a very flat day overall. In the news, we had the Aussie and Kiwi. They're still kind of reeling from the Bank of China rate cut that we got on Sunday night. So after that, we saw big falls from both the Aussie and Kiwi, as they are the most closely correlated to what the Bank of China does with rates. Other than that, a really quiet day. And if we take a look at the charts, you can see that these candles, they're pretty boring here. Again, a slight up candle. As you can see, at one point, we traded all the way up to about 43.30, and then we came back down and closed at 43.05. Look, the last 3 days have been up, up, up. As you can see, we're just running out of a little steam. It's not a big deal. We're hitting up into some more resistance areas. We're probably going to have to churn around this area before we go any higher. If we go over here to the VT, this is actually looking much better. This is forming this little ascending wedge here just over the last 4 days, right at resistance levels. I wouldn't be surprised if this actually has a little bit of area to go higher. If we check in on the cryptos have had a pullback from recent swing high, getting down into the area where we need to see a bounce on this, or else it might be some trouble. Look, I think the equity markets hold on, and because the equity markets hold on, crypto being a risk-on asset, I think these also have a decent bounce here. Just a decent bounce, nothing great. Overall, we are seeing some fairly low volatility here, as we are a little bit stretched on equities. We are at a moderately bullish stance in equities, a +2, and we have some major news coming down the pipe over the next 2 days. Earlier this morning, we had Canadian CPI. Really no big deal. It was forecast at 0.1. It came in exactly 0.1, so we saw no movement off of the announcement. But the CAD actually did strengthen throughout most of the day. Tonight, we've got wage prices out of Australia, and at 10 p.m., we've got the RBNZ rate policy statement. As you can see, estimates are they are going to raise rates by 0.5%. We will be meeting live as a firm, trading this report live, so come join us. We'll meet about 15 minutes before. We'll set up some trades, and we'll trade this one. And then, of course, 1 hour after is the RBNZ press conference. Tonight, a lot of stuff going on, and then take a look at tomorrow. We got CPI out of the UK overnight, retail sales, but really I'm looking for this Fed meeting minutes, Wednesday at 2 p.m. I told myself this week I wasn't going to trade a lot on Monday and Tuesday. I haven't made a Forex trade yet this week. I told myself Tuesday night and Wednesday I'm going to be very active. So I'm going into the next 24 hours ready to go, looking for some setups, and I'm going to be trading these news announcements. As you can see, there's nothing on Thursday and Friday. So for me, the next 24 hours are really what is going to make or break the week. Let's take a look at the currencies one by one, and we're always going to be sorted by relative strength and weakness. In yesterday's currency recap, Ankit broke it down just like this. We had Aussie and Kiwi were the weakest Forex currencies, and the cryptos were in the middle of their pullback. We had the yen and the dollar that was strong. We had CAD and euro a little bit weak, Swiss franc and pound a little bit strong, but anything in the 1 to -1 area, it just doesn't have enough momentum to play. Let's take a look at what they actually did today, and let's start out with the cryptos. These are very small moves. If a stock like Procter & Gamble went up 2.24%, like Cardano, that would be a big deal. But these cryptos trade 4, 5, 6, 7%. Take a look at how small these ranges are. Whenever there's small ranges, you do not want to be trading if you are trying to make money on direction. So the fact that we got these very small candles tells you, hey, you need to wait for more velocity to come into these before you look to play them. We come over to the forward currencies, and look, you can see that there's a few currencies that did more than 0.3%, but not much. You know, we had the pound a little bit stronger. We had the CAD, the best performing currency at 0.5, and the yen was weak. Unless you were playing CAD yen or pound yen, everything else was very, very, very frustrating. This is why I said at the first of the week that I'm not looking to trade Monday, Tuesday, because I thought there was going to be condensed volatility as everyone was waiting for these major news announcements on Tuesday night and Wednesday. So let's go in and take a look at all the charts. If we look at all the cryptos, you're going to see that everything is just slightly moving lower. We're just slightly moving lower. No real velocity to the downside, but definitely no velocity to the upside. So this is Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash. Has sort of big dip down here, and now we're just basing here. We go over to Ethereum. Ethereum, same thing, just kind of drifting lower, a bit. I know a lot of people are saying, okay, Rob, is this a good time to buy them, anticipating a bounce? You can anticipate a bounce, but it's not the right time to buy them. You need to wait until the momentum comes back into them, and it's just not there. You don't want to sit there in dead money. That's just no fun as a trader. There's many other trades out there you could make. Don't sit in dead money. Here's Litecoin. As you can see, for right here, right now, it's dead money. If you really wanted to say, I want to build a trade, okay, you need to wait until the EMA starts to turn higher. You need to wait till the parabolic SAR gets pierced. That would actually give you a decent signal. And so you could look to buy at maybe 62.50, 63, and I think you got to sell at 65, 65.50. There's not a lot of meat on the bone on these trades. Let's jump over to our foreign currencies. This is our dollar basket. This is the dollar equally weighted against 7 other currencies that we trade. And you can see that the dollar basket is going slightly higher. We've had a little bit of a pullback. That EMA is starting to flatten out. So the fact that that EMA is starting to flatten out is telling you there's less momentum. We had a lot of momentum here. We're now flattening out. We're getting less. So to me, dollar is like at a +1 at the best. We come in here to the yen. We take a look at where the yen has been traded. It's really just trading between a range here. We're getting now down to the bottom of the range. Look, we have EMA falling. We just got a parabolic SAR that was pierced. We got a flat RSI. Okay, so yen is still at a -2, but this is major support down here. There's just not a lot of meat on the bone here in this trade. So while the yen does look more weak than strong, to me it doesn't look like a viable trade over the next 24 hours. Going on to Swiss franc, and I want you just to take a look at Swiss franc over the last about 7 days. This is the last 7 days here. We haven't gone anywhere. Remember, we want to trade when things are moving. We don't want to trade when things are sideways, when they're sideways. We just don't want to make a trade here. So look, we're coming back down to this support area. If it bounces off that support area, yes, you could make a range-bound trade to the long side. If it breaks that, though, I think you actually do want to be short. But right here, right now, I can't be excited at all about Swiss franc. Looking at the euro, now we've got something with a little bit of momentum behind it. As you can see over the last week, we have been making our way down, basing, working our way down, bouncing, falling. We got a bounce here. To me, euro looks okay. It's about ready to go, but everything here is flattened. If you take a look here, EMA has flattened. RSI is flattened. So the fact that everything is flattened is telling us there's not any velocity right here, right now. If the euro starts to get weaker overnight, I think it's a really good short, but I think you have to wait until that time. Coming over here to the pound. The pound has had a long downtrend. We started all the way back here at August 3rd, and we just made our way down, base, fall, rally, fall, base, big fall, rally, and all of a sudden now we're not making any lower lows. We're actually making some higher highs. If we take a look, the EMA is starting to get a little steeper. We're starting to get a rise in the parabolic SAR. Look, you could buy the pound here. It's not like the greatest trade I've ever seen, but based on all the other 5 foreign currencies we looked at, pound looks like the most viable trade here. Let's go through the last 3 to see if anything looks a little bit better. Moving on to the Canadian dollar. And we see the Canadian dollar's also been in a lot of a downtrend here since the end of July. And now we're starting to make some higher highs. And for the first time in a long time, take a look at the steepness of this EMA. We're actually getting some real good momentum to the upside. For me, I'm looking at CAD and it looks better than the pound. So CAD is going to the top of my list as a currency that I want to play over the next 24 hours. Let's finish off with the Aussie and Kiwi. Here we had the big move down, from when the Bank of China cut rates unexpectedly. Since then, we've just been basing. Look, when something has a big fall and cannot bounce, it's a good sign that the next leg is lower. If you take a look at where we are basing in this area. We've got this EMA that's just pushing down on it. A breakdown somewhere tonight, I think, is a great entry, short the Aussie, but right here, right now, it's a -1. It's not ready yet. Kiwi, take a look at the Kiwi compared to the Aussie. We had the big fall. At least the Aussie stayed higher than it did on this little candle. We are down below. We are just not being able to bounce up to even the EMA. For me, looking at all the currencies, the Kiwi looks like the best short out there. It still looks like the best short. So when you take a look at it, I think you got to go all the currencies that gained some momentum. We got the Aussie that improved a little bit. But what we saw is we saw the CAD and the pound strengthen to the point where they say, okay, we have the momentum right now. And the currencies that weakened, you can see that dollar weakened, Swiss franc weakened, yen weakened. But I'm looking here at really CAD and pound against Kiwi and maybe the yen, but I like the Kiwi much more than the yen. Because we got those relative strength now, we know what our possible trades are. We know what we're looking for over the next 24 hours. My number one currency cross is going to be Kiwi CAD. Kiwi CAD is looking like a decent short here. We had a big run up. We could see we fell and we're just low basing here. I really want to take a look. I'm going to switch over to a 1 hour chart here. And you can see this price action is pretty ugly. Imagine a huge fall from 82.30 all the way down to 81.40. That is about a 1.5% drop. And you cannot get a bounce to save their life. This is a really, really solid low base here. We did just pop up above the parabolic SAR, so I think we've got a little bit of upside here. Remember, RBNZ is literally within 6 hours. This is going to be a trade that if you want to make it before then, you have to be able to sit through volatility. We'll be looking at pairing up something like Kiwi CAD going into that report, but this would be going into that report saying, I think the Kiwi is going to weaken off of the RBNZ decision. If that's the case, Kiwi CAD looks great. And I think you could probably also look at Pound Kiwi. Pound Kiwi on the long side, and you can see a really nice pattern here. We run up, and then we just take a break. We run up, we're just taking a break. If the Kiwi goes lower after the meeting, I like this quite a bit for a long. And probably, at this point, my entry would have to be up here at 191 would be the entry point with a stop down here at 190.45. That would be the trade I'm looking at on Pound Kiwi going into the report. The only other trades that look suitable here are against the yen, CAD yen on the long side. And you can see a very nice high base forming here. We've got some overhead resistance here. If we can break through this overhead resistance at the 104.60 area, this is a great setup for CAD yen to the long side. So buy at 104.65, an order in below this EMA at 104.30. I think that's a nice solid trade for a breakout of a high base. Let's take a look at Pound yen. You're going to see it looks very similar here because CAD and Pound were both strong today, so they should look fairly similar. A big pop to the upside. We're getting a little bit of a pullback. We're starting to get some buying in here. Once that parabolic SAR is pierced at 162.65, 162.70, somewhere in there in the next couple hours, I think this looks like a buy as well. The last two trading days haven't been great, but I think the next two are going to be really good. I think Wednesday and Thursday are definitely going to be the best trading days of the week. So you want to be more active when things are moving. Remember, RBNZ is tonight. We're meeting together as a firm. Come join us. We'll be looking to place live trades on this announcement and catch some movement here. On our schedule, Imre has already released Characteristics of Impulsive Waves. I highly recommend you look at that. Imre is a genius when it comes to Elliott wave theory. Everything he does, I tune in and watch it because he's the guy I go to when I have Elliott wave questions. Thank you so much for joining me. That is the Currency Recap. Goodbye, everybody.